When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Something funny about that because you're talking about how locations get immortalized, and you were the one who pointed out some of the Back to the Future locations to me that we've been coming across for decades and had no idea that was like the exterior to Doc Brown's warehouse. It's funny because I was just walking, it's been a while now, but not too long ago. I was just walking the Universal backlot. 100 yards outside of our office is like the Back to the Future, what is it, Lions Estates?
Oh, yes.
Signs that they still have, that they're just like shoved off to the side of the backlot there, just sitting there like with a tarp over them for whoever may, I guess, need to homage it.
Yeah, and of course, the square also will always, that clock tower will always be recognizable. But, you can go visit Marty's house from a distance in Arleta, or Doc Brown's house in Pasadena, or some of the other, like George McFly's house and Lorraine's house in Pasadena.
Were you on the set for that too? Were you on Back to the Future?
Just one night. I went to Puente Hills Mall when Frank was doing second unit of the DeLorean in motion, and helped out. But I was on Goonies during the day and just did one night on Back to the Future.
Were you at Amblin when they had to make the switch? The Marty McFly switch. Now, how'd that go down?
Well, Zemeckis came to Steven and told him his fears, and Steven was totally supportive. And, I'll confess this to you now, but hopefully, nobody else sees this, or Steven doesn't see it. No, I do want it. Never mind. Anyway.
Too late.
Yeah, sorry.
If we have to make an edit, we'll protect. Look, man, we all go back to Warner Brothers together. We'll protect you if we have to make an edit. But first of all, before you even tell me what you're going to tell me, what Steven Spielberg confessed, how did Zemeckis articulate his fears? Like, were his fears that Stoltz can act?
Stoltz can act, but he was, first of all, he was suggested by Sid Sheinberg. And it was down to two different actors. But Stoltz had Mask coming up for release. And so Sid gently said, it's your choice, but Eric Stoltz, would be a great choice. And, but 3 weeks in, they realized that it was just, Zemeckis realized it wasn't going to work. And I think another 2 weeks went by before he went to Steven. And Steven said, let's look at the footage. Because Steven hadn't really looked at the dailies. He left them alone to do their film. And my confession was that no one was allowed in the projection booth while Steven looked at the footage. But I told the projectionist that, I needed to be within earshot if Steven needed me, if he called for me. So I got to see the footage. And it was clear that obviously it wasn't working. Stoltz is a serious dramatic actor. And when paired up with Doc Brown, with Christopher Lloyd, it just, the contrast was just startling. It made Christopher Lloyd look silly. But when you paired him with Michael J. Fox, who, had these great double takes and reactions and timing, it evened it out. It made a great pairing. So they, and to Sid Sheinberg's credit, he understood and agreed. And
that says a lot. That says a lot about Sheinberg. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, it's true. You're right. It does. Sid was, have you heard about the memo that about changing the name of the film?
I have. You can tell the audience that Scheinberg's famous for a lot of memos.
Yeah, but this one was
because he didn't want it called Back to the Future, right? If I remember right.
He said it didn't make sense, but because Michael J. Fox was, when he goes back into the past, he's mistaken for a spaceman from Pluto. That's what the film should be called, Spaceman from Pluto. And so when Bob Zemeckis got the memo, he freaked out and went to Steven and said, "What are we going to do?" And so Steven sent a reply that said, "That's a great joke, Sid. Thank you. We all needed a laugh, at this time, and you provided it. Thank you so much." And Sid never brought it up again.
That's a great way to diffuse it. I mean, here's the thing with Scheinberg. Scheinberg can take a lot of credit for a lot of things going right during his tenure at Universal. There's a lot of respect for Scheinberg, rightfully so. Alan Ladd said it best, and I think Scheinberg practiced it. Alan Ladd, when it came to the Star Wars deal, was famous for saying, "I don't understand this, but I respect talent."
Yes.
And we're going to let talent do its thing. Scheinberg, I think, was the same way. He was like, "I can make suggestions. I can tell you things. I can tell you what I think works, but ultimately, talent makes the call." And that's the case with Spielberg. And, he suggested Stoltz, as you said, and Mask is a fantastic movie, very emotional to watch. Sam Elliott's great in it. Cher's great in it. Stoltz is great in it. But, he suggested Stoltz. And then, a lot of executives, man, they get hurt if you go in another direction. But I think Scheinberg had enough cachet and, mental confidence to say, like, "Look, I made the suggestion. You're going in another direction. Then that's what we're going to do. You're the talent, so to speak." And that's rare, man. That's rare now. More so rare now than it was ever, even then. But it's,
Well, as Dirty Harry Callahan said, a man's got to know his limitations. Mm-hmm. And I think Sid knew where his strengths were and where, they were not. So he and Steven knew how to handle. They had a great relationship. It was kind of like a father-son relationship, which, he also had with people like Steve Ross. So Steven knew how to play it.
Who are you?
Silence, Earthling!
My name is Darth Vader. I am an extraterrestrial from the planet Vulcan.
Your road to redemption is paved with tombstones. No quarter, kill all masters. Go to noquarterkillallmasters.com. Rated R.